Welcome back, everyone. So, Lori, Vallow, Daybell, Ryan, Cox, mother, Janice, and her sister, Summer, have decided to break their silence and recently gave an interview to Morgan Lowe with ABC affiliate there in Arizona. Now, before the interview actually started, there were several things that neither the mother or the daughter would talk about. Those being anything to do with Lori's life at an early age or anything to do with the actual case itself in particular. And the third thing that they absolutely refused to talk about was anything to do with Lori's ex husbands unless they brought it up, and only only thing that they brought up and wanted to talk about was the death of Charles Vallow. Things that we learned from this interview are even more twisted. Every turn, every door you open, this case gets more and more twisted as we go along. I wish I was joking about this. If you knew half as much as I knew about this case and have read about this case and the parties involved in it, you you would have walked away from it a long time ago because it's hard to make sense of, and everybody has a motive for what they say, what they do, who they believe, what they believe. And I'm not just talking about, look, we all believe in God, or we all believe in this. No, these people have visions. They believe in obscure beliefs. They believe in things that most people out here in society would say never happened. But these people believe. Oh, and they believe it very much that all of this stuff happened. Things that you're going to learn from this interview are Summer, the sister, says that she spoke with Lori from the jail in Idaho after she was extradited back from Hawaii. And not once in any of the conversations that she's had with Lori did she ever ask, where are the children? I can't think of a single person out there that wouldn't have asked that. Where are the children? But she says, point blank, I didn't ask her where the children are. She never asked. Guess it never came up. Second thing, Lori tells her sister a conversation she relays through in the interview that you know me. I've always taken care of my children. Unfortunately, Lori, I hate for you to know this, but your son Colby doesn't agree with you. Your other family members don't agree with you that you've always done everything for your children and you've always done everything to protect your children. Every time that something has always gotten in the way in your life, you've always taken off. You took off for 59 days and didn't tell anybody where you're going. You took off multiple times before then and went to Hawaii. You took off before then and you went to the mountains of Utah with friends over and over again in every relationship she's ever had. And then she wonders why every relationship she's ever had has fallen apart. Not even getting into the possible adultery that you committed during your first two marriages. Not even getting into that, Lori. You've taken off every single time anything has ever gotten difficult in any of your relationships. So her sister relays that Lori's a great mom. She's always done everything for her kids. Not so. Colby, her eldest, is on Facebook. I don't know if the posts are still there, if he took it down, but he had about a 10 or 11,000 um, word post that he had put up on his Facebook about how his mother was always distant. Whenever things got hard or something came up, she was always distant. This is your own child. And I'm sure you repeated the same thing with Tylee and JJ. Best mother, whatever. Third thing you're going to learn is that Lori made bad judgments and married men that mom and sister didn't agree with. Which marriage would that be? Father of Colby, the father of Tylee, or would it be the man who went out of his way to adopt JJ, to bring JJ into this home, to make sure that JJ had a good life and that was well cared for the rest of his life? Which husband of Lori's did you not agree with that she married? Which one? Her first husband? That marriage only lasted about 2 months. It took longer for the divorce to happen than the actual marriage. And the mother said men, plural. So I guess maybe they don't agree with Chad. Number 4, the sister says, we don't know what she's been through. And you're right. Summer has been distant from Lori for over 7 years. She hasn't come and visited her. She hasn't visited her when she was in Arizona, and she lives in Arizona. She didn't come and visit her. They spoke on the phone occasionally, by Lori's own admission on her podcast. Again, she said she very rarely spoke to her siblings. The only sibling that she had that was close to her, she said, and I quote, the only sibling that has been in my life consistently throughout all the things that have been happening to me is Alex. Not Adam, not Summer, Alex. Number 5, threatened by who? Number 5 and number 6 are together pretty much, because number 6 is they moved to Idaho to get away from the threats. Let's look at the timeline here. They live in Arizona. Alex shoots and kills Charles Vallow. Not once during that entire time that they lived in Arizona did Kay Woodcock, the grandmother, call Child Protective Services and say, I need you to check up on my autistic grandson. And it never happened. Over a month later, once they've moved to Idaho, and she said they moved to Idaho to get away from the threats from Kay. Your timeline's off. Janice Cox, your timeline is off. Because a month after they moved to Idaho is when Kay called and Lori cut off all communication between Kay and with JJ. And then a month and a half afterwards is when Kay called Child Protective Services. Not in Arizona. There were no threats in Arizona. By anyone's account. Not Charles, not anyone's, leading up to the death of Charles. And we all have to remember, quickly right thereafter, that after Charles's death, she picked up and moved Alex, JJ, Tylee, Chad, and Melanie all moved to Idaho and got a bunch of condo townhouses together and lived there. And then JJ disappeared after she took him out of school. Again, she did that because she's looking out for the best welfare of her children. So who threatened her? Why isn't there a single piece of evidence? Because she went to the police when her purse was stolen, because that also plays into another part. Her mother said she doesn't trust the court or the police, but every time she's needed the police, she's gone and talked to the police, jokingly and half-heartedly, but she's gone and talked to the police. Purse was stolen, phone was stolen, went to the police. Every time she needed to go to court because she was ordered to go, she never went. Or she showed up late, or she rescheduled, or found some reason why she couldn't be there. Yeah. Doesn't trust the court, doesn't trust the police. Sounds perfect. Just like the threats that you say that Kay made against her months before she ever even called the first time. Sister, Summer, says she's only met Chad once, and she never heard of him proclaiming to be a prophet or anything along those lines. Apparently, she's never owned a Kindle device or a cell phone herself, because you can go onto Audible and it will read the excerpts and the beginning part of Chad's book to you. You can listen to the audio of it. You can buy the book on Amazon. They're fairly cheap. They're self-published, not the best written. I'm sorry for anybody out there who may be a follower of Chad's. They're not the best written books. She says she's never heard of him proclaiming to be a prophet. Apparently, she's never seen the interviews of Chad talking about his books and his visions and how God came to him directly and told him and prophesied to Chad. And then Chad was to prophesy what he was getting in these visions to the masses. It's in his interviews for the first two books. It's in the preface of both books. How could you not know that? It's right there. Last, and the most disturbing of them all. If you've ever seen the Christopher Watts interview on the porch when they came to interview him about his family missing, or you ever seen any of the videos of a half dozen other people who've reported their family members missing, and then later on we found out that those individuals were dead. It's always very eerie to go back and watch those interviews, because you can pick up in the speech pattern that they speak of the missing, now you know that they're deceased, in the past tense. When the mother said to the reporter, "It's been devastating not to see Tylee and JJ in such a long time. We loved them." Past tense. I love my wife. I love my son. I love my daughter. I never say I loved them in the past tense. This isn't the only time that someone in her family has said something referring to Tylee and JJ in the past tense. in the past. We loved them. I loved them then. We loved them. Not we love. We love JJ. We love Kylie. We loved. Again, they're not the only family members that have ever said this. In private conversations and emails that I have, other family members have referred to Tylee and JJ in the same manner. Loved. Not I loved being around them. I loved going there with them. Referring to them as I loved them. And leave a comment down below. Do you refer to your family members in the past tense when they're still alive? Stay safe out there.
Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow have been missing since September, but could they be alive tonight? And is their mother, Lori Vallow, protecting them as she sits in jail?
Well, that is the story we heard from Lori's mother and sister when they sat down with our chief investigative reporter, Morgan Lowe. Here's the interview you will only see on Arizona's Family.
All she'd need to do was show proof that the kids are alive and are well. Can you understand why she's refusing to do that?
You know, it seems simple. It did to me.
Janice Cox is Lori Vallow's mother. She says she doesn't understand all of the reasons for Lori's actions. But she doesn't believe her daughter could have gone from doting mother to cold-blooded child killer.
All I know is the woman that she is. I did not see any great change in Lori.
Have you asked your sister where the kids are?
No. I've talked to her a couple of times.
Summer Shiflett is Lori's sister. She says Lori has spoken to her from jail.
And she said to me, "You know me, and you know I've always taken care of my kids." And I do know that.
So where are the kids? We'll get to their theory in a moment. But first, Janice and Summer say they don't believe Lori had anything to do with her late husband Charles Vallow's death. Lori's brother Alex shot and killed him last July and said it was self-defense. Alex himself died mysteriously in December. They also don't think Lori had any role in the death of her new husband, Chad Daybell's former wife. She died in her sleep in October. Are you defending Lori because she's your daughter and she's your sister? Or are you defending her because you really think that she did nothing wrong?
We really think that she did nothing wrong. She's had some bad judgment. She's married a few men that we didn't care for.
She'll be the first to say
Yeah,
she's made a lot of mistakes, and she's paid high prices for those mistakes.
So what is the scenario that Tylee and JJ are still alive?
Well, to us, we believe they are because we know Lori. And we have seen her dedication.
Are they in a bunker somewhere? Are they with friends? Where do you think they are?
We don't know. We wish we knew. We don't know. But we also don't know what Lori has been through. She was being threatened. She was being followed.
Who was threatening her?
Well, Kay was threatening her.
And her brothers. They're very upset about Charles's death. There was a lot of threats made to Lori.
Kay Woodcock is Charles Vallow's sister. She's been leading an effort to find the children and to pressure authorities to take action against Lori. Kay denies she threatened Lori, but Janice and Summer say that is the basis for why Lori moved to Idaho, then, according to them, hid the children somewhere and has refused to produce them. Do you think she's in a cult?
No,
No.
we don't.
But Lori is now married to Chad Daybell, an author of doomsday novels with a cult-like following in the prepper world. I've spoken to people who live near Chad, and they say we follow Chad. They look at Chad like he's some sort of messiah.
I don't know Chad very well. I've only met him one time. I've never heard anything about him self-proclaiming to be a prophet or anything else of that nature, or trying to get people to follow him.
We can't see Lori blindly following anybody. Can you? No, we can't see it.
You don't think that Chad brainwashed her?
No, he couldn't do it. It's not possible.
These two say they think Lori really believes she is protecting her children, but they say they wish she would bring them forward.
It's been devastating not to see Tylee and JJ in such a long time. We love them so much. And it's been devastating not to see Lori.
Is there any part of the dark recesses of your minds that say maybe she cracked and maybe this is not going to end up well?
We have gone through those scenarios
If
probably 100 times.
If something has happened to those children, it is not by her doing. And it's not by her permission.
She couldn't crack enough to do harm to her children.